We are so pleased to give the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta our mother's recipe for Mandel bread. Our mother, Molly Tabaxman Glazer, was known all over Atlanta for this, and we are so delighted to share it with you. Now I've got a stick of butter softened, and I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar and let that mix for a minute. Then I have 3 eggs beaten, and I'm going to add 1 at a time until they're really well done. I like to mix it for about 2 minutes after they're all in there. This recipe goes back probably at least, I would say, to 100 years. My grandmother had it. She came from Riga, Latvia. And then my mother's had it, and she wrote it down for me. And Mom added baking powder, but I kind of leave it out. But it's pretty true to Mom's recipe. And she was known in Atlanta as probably, I hate to say it, but one of the best bakers in town. And her recipes were really well known. Her food was well known, but she didn't really give out her recipes that much. Only because one time she gave out her great cheesecake recipe, and when they messed it up, they said, well, it's Molly Glazer's recipe. So we're kind of protective, but this is a special occasion. And now when I look at a lot of other people's recipes, I think, why not give them out? So I've enjoyed giving mine out now, and I've gotten some great ones in return. Okay, so this is mixed up pretty well. And I kind of slow it down, and I'm going to add 2 cups of flour already sifted, and I've already measured. It's going to be a total of 4 cups, but I'm going to add 2 at a time. Mix that up. I was told that once you put the flour in, it gets tough, so you don't really want to mix it any more than you have to. So I've got 2 cups of flours with the eggs and the butter and the sugar, and then I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of Wesson oil or vegetable oil and let that mix. And then I'm going to add the last 2 cups of flour. Alright, so everything's pretty much in there except for the last few ingredients, which is a teaspoon of vanilla. Whoops. And 2 lemons. I use 2 lemons that I take the rind from, and I'm going to add the rind now. And I take 1 lemon and I squeeze it and take the seeds out and add that. Then the last thing I do is I take the pecans, and it's kind of an old Jewish way when you toss a little flour in it first. Excuse me, Scott. So they don't stay all moist. So I'll add a little bit of flour in here. I add about 1.25 cups. It calls for 1 cup of chopped pecans, but I like a little bit more. I'm going to take most of these. I think I have too many. And I'm going to fold them in the mixture. So all this time your oven's preheating to 350, and when I bake I always put the rack in the middle and not on the bottom or the top, because it's pretty even when it's in the middle and it'll burn if you're on the bottom. So I fold these in, and then the trick to this recipe is these old metal ice trays, and I find that they give you the most even mandel bread. I put about maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of oil in each one of them. And you try and keep it on the bottom and not the sides. Since the mixture has butter in it anyway, it's not going to stick. And so here's just the batter with pecans in it. And you can pretty much tell how evenly they are. So I have 6 ice trays, and I don't really have a substitute. If you don't have ice trays, I really don't like these other loaf pans because it's really hard to get out after they've cooked. this little spatula and keep it pretty even. I don't want to get it on the sides because it kind of burns on the side.
If there's not enough for the whole tray, you don't have to make it real thin.
Right, I don't like it. Just spread it out as far as it'll go without looking too scrawny. Then I take a big tablespoon and I put the sugar on, the cinnamon sugar, and I just tap it all over and distribute it evenly. If you shake it on top, it's going to come out too fast, so I just kind of tap it with my hand and let it go over evenly. So this is ready to go in the oven for about 20 minutes at 350, and then we'll take them out, slice them, and toast them. So the Mandel bread's been in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes. Every oven is different. Sometimes I do 18 minutes depending on what city I'm in. Sometimes I do 21 minutes, but it's usually around 20 minutes. And I'll let those cool off before I slice them. Michelle and I are going to slice these at a diagonal. So they're not going to go straight up and down. We're going to do it at a diagonal. They look prettier and they're easier to get out, which is a trick I'll show you in a minute on how to get them out without breaking them. So one of the tricks that my mom taught me, and I've gone over it with Michelle and Molly, is I use a spatula that's kind of got an angle out like this. And I get under here and I drop it one piece at a time, holding it. So just one drops like that. If not, you're going to break it. So this is ready to get in the oven. All right. When you put these in the oven to toast after you've sliced them out of the ice trays, it's a hard thing to be able to tell you exactly the amount of time. I turn down the oven to 330, but it could take anywhere from 12 minutes to, I don't know, 15 minutes to look at them, see if they've even started browning. Then take them out, check the underneath, and see if they're browning underneath. If so, turn them over, put them back in the oven, and watch them carefully. I always use a timer because they can brown really quickly at the end.